Hello? Are you alright?
Hello.
Are you alright?
It's like a Steve Coogan episode. Hello. So, welcome to Roadmap, Auto Trader UK's product and tech podcast. Today's episode, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into the culture of Auto Trader and specifically the Make a Difference Guild. And to bring up to speed on that, I've got two awesome colleagues with me today who've been in it for a whopping 35 years between them. Or is that 15? 50. 35, that'd be insane. I don't think you even that old. But yeah, so I've got Nat Whiten, delivery lead.
Yeah.
Hello, Natalie.
Hello.
And Fee Hornby, consumer marketing manager.
That is me.
That is you. Hey. So yeah, I was only joking about the 35 years. But yeah, but really interesting, like just to give people that maybe haven't or don't work at Auto Trader or haven't got something equivalent in their organisation, what our Make a Difference Guild is all about. So your view on the lowdown, what it is, when did it start, what roles you play, etc., etc. So over to you two.
Yep. So we started, it'll be 10 years next year actually.
Wow.
So we're really looking forward to having a celebration then. I joined the Make a Difference Guild 9 years ago. So really not long after I joined Auto Trader. And it was just something that I got invited to by Christos, one of our people and culture leads. And at the time, it was like very in its infancy, and we were kind of defining like what it is, what we do, and all that kind of thing. But now we're in a really, really good place. So our aim as a guild is to empower, educate, and enable our staff to make a difference in the communities around us, because everyone has good intentions to do so, but it's not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But it's insane 10 years though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I feel like I've been part of the guild for quite a long time, but I actually only joined like 6 years ago.
Like
Only.
even saying only
I know.
6
I
years,
know.
like 6 years is a long time.
Yeah, and it's changed quite a lot even since I joined.
Yeah, for sure.
We've seen like lots of change in the guild, I guess, like with the business changing as well. But yeah, it's been great to be part of the guild over the last 6 years.
So when you talked about like empowering employees to give back into the community, so what are the pillars, what are the options that you can do? I mean, I know I've tapped you up a few times for sponsorship of random football teams and cricket teams, but like what are the core pillars or the like avenues people can get involved in?
So we've got volunteering, so that's where all of our colleagues can go and volunteer 2 days within the year, so they can either do that as a group or individually. We also have Give As You Earn, so that's all like obviously payroll giving.
Yeah.
We've got sponsorship, where we have sort of 3 key areas within that. So we've got the employee sponsorship. So if, for example, you wanted to go and run a marathon and you were raising money for charity, then we would be able to sponsor you for that fundraising. We also have the sports sponsorship, which you were just mentioning then.
Yeah.
For your cricket club. Where we can fund like sports equipment and kit for our colleagues, like whether they're in the teams themselves or whether they have family in sports teams. And then we also have customer sponsorships as part of that as well. And then outside of that, we then also have our community funds, so a couple of different funds to represent either our offices, so London, Hemel, Manchester,
Yeah.
but then we also have your community fund, which is sort of broader than that as well.
So is that where, say, I live outside Manchester in Lancashire, is that where, when you say local community, so where you live, but you might be based in Manchester, but you're contributing to something in your more local area?
Exactly.
Or a national charity that's like close to your heart as well.
Yeah.
Like that's also absolutely fine to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the like in terms of the blend of what people take up, like typically? Has that changed over time, or what does it feel like now? Is there one particular area that's always really busy and others that like a blossoming? How does the blend work?
So 60% of our staff engage with one of those elements across Make a Difference Guild, which is we're really proud of that. It's taken us a while to get there, but that's a great kind of engagement metric for our teams. And volunteering definitely leads the way in terms of that engagement. So at the moment, around 50% of our staff volunteer every year, and it's been like that for the last few years, with the pandemic as an exception, yeah. But we're not ashamed to say that that's not always been the case. When I first started on volunteering, we had a look into the data. Everyone was allowed 2 volunteering days, but when we looked into the data, we only had a record of 1 person doing it. So we've gone from kind of base level 1 to around 600 people a year volunteering, which is incredible. But yeah, it takes work, and a lot of companies have volunteering days, but you do need to give people some guidance, some options, and really help them along the way, because not every charity can just take you for a day.
Yeah. And is that where we start? I mean, like, thinking like going like the timeline of 10 years, was it, I mean, I've been here 12, and I can remember when we first started talking about volunteering days, and I can remember the first time like I did a sponsorship deal.
You got signed. Your football club got signed by
rocking up to the kids' football saying, look at these shirts. But like, so I remember, like, what came first? Was it the volunteering days, which were like the foundation? Because I can remember like when we started talking about Give As You Earn, but I don't know, because I've never really been that involved. Were the layers like? So what is the latest thing we've added, and where did we start?
Yeah. I think we started with volunteering and Give As You Earn.
Yeah.
And then sponsorship came not too long after. That one's been going for a really long time as well. And then the community funds are something that have kind of adapted over time. Yeah. So when we acquired Vanarama, that meant that we had over 100 people in Hemel. So we had a look at what we could do for them, if it needs to be different and all that kind of thing. So we're always adapting like what we offer our employees and trying to make it really inclusive of like everyone at Auto Trader and their communities around them, because that does adapt and change like as any business does.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned about the 60%. I mean, I don't know how that benchmarks against other organisations, but if you're thinking of the 10-year journey or your 6-year journey now, like, what are there any particular ones where you're going to look back and say those are the real highs, or were there any times where you're going, oh my God, this is really hard?
Yeah, so I do know how it benchmarks against other businesses.
Well, let's start with that one then.
Because it's kind of my job to research like what other companies are doing. I didn't know that. So we know that like in the UK the volunteering rate is around 8%, and in the tech industry globally the volunteering rate's 11%. So we're really proud that our employees like definitely go above and beyond that.
So sorry, the amazing. Benchmark UK 8, global tech 11, us 60.
50.
50.
50, yeah.
That's a massive difference, isn't it?
Yeah. But like I said, we've not always been there, but it has been sustained over a number of years now, which is amazing.
I'm trying to think what it was when we started working together in volunteering. I'm sure it wasn't anywhere near.
No, I think when you started working with me, it was probably about 30.
Yeah.
But even still 30 is like...
And I remember thinking like, oh my God, we're doing amazing.
Yeah. But it's funny, isn't it? Because when you say 30%, because I didn't realise that the national figures, I'd be like, 30%. Like, even when you said 50, I'm like, oh, come on, why are we not getting everyone doing it? It's like, you know what I mean? But then when you say then what it looks like and what the rest of like the UK are doing, it's like insanely different. So...
And our ambition is definitely to hit that 100% ceiling. Like, we would absolutely love it if every employee did it and managed to fit it in throughout their year, because that would just be amazing.
Yeah. So is that what you say, like, when you're thinking of highs, is that the high, the sort of percentage take up? Or is there any ones where particular differences we've made to, like, a charity or a particular organisation? Like, is there anything on that front?
I think another high is the relationships that we've built with certain charities. So through volunteering and exploring like volunteering opportunities, we've been able to obviously reach out to different charities, and through that we've been able to establish relationships, introduce them to our other guilds and networks within the business, and be able to like form really good like partnerships with them. So Speed of Sight is one of those examples.
Are they Wigan based?
I think more like Bolton based, but they run like the track days
around the country.
Around the country, and that's like an amazing charity. It's obviously a similar industry to us. It's cars. So and the amount of support and like uptake that we get from volunteering days for them across the business is huge. Everyone always comes back from those days feeling like so like inspired, and like it's just such a good volunteering day.
One of the Abby who I work with was sending, I think she did it last Monday or the Monday before, and she was sending pictures saying it was really good.
Yeah, it's really
I feel
good.
like that's a life-changing day for people, and they're kind of
the
highs are the numbers and the scale of like what we can achieve and how many people can go out, but also things like that. Like Speed of Sight is basically a charity that help people who would never be able to drive a car to be able to have a track day. So it's really creating something like extraordinary for people who would never get the opportunity. So being part of a day like that is something that you'll remember for the rest of your life. Like it's not just a day that you go away from and you think, oh yeah, I use my volunteering day. Like it really does like change your perspective on the world. I know that sounds dead cheesy, but
I think it's more like when you're helping someone, you might be doing a small thing on that track day where you're helping someone get out of the car, but being able to see the look on their face after they've been able to experience going around the track and just seeing like the happiness on their face, like it actually makes you like I've definitely felt emotional on those track days before, like just seeing how much of a difference it can make to someone's day, and like I said, like it could be that you're going to contribute in a small way, but you've still contributed and made a difference to someone's day. So I think it's
I haven't really thought about the stories that people bring back, like of it was a great day at volunteering, I did this. Because remember we did bread and butter, I think it's bread and butter, one time, and there was a group of us, but it wasn't the loading, the unloading the vans and getting the bags ready. It was when the family started turning up and you're going like, do you know what I mean? And people saying, all right, you know, this will feed a family of 5 for the next 3 days, and it was like, that was the bit when you're like, oh blooming heck, this is pretty, you know, when you're seeing people queuing, waiting, and a bit like, because beforehand it was just, take food off van, put into warehouse, put into bag, but then when you see actually people really need it, so that's the ones you go away with. So if we got like the highs end of stories or like the personal difference you can see people get out of it, has there any been ones where it's been really hard? Because I mean, there's always the double edge, isn't there? It can't always be roses. So has there been times when being in the guild has been either demotivating or really hard?
Yeah, for sure. Like nothing's ever perfect, is it? I think the pandemic was really difficult for us, as with obviously everyone all over the world. So, for example, people couldn't go out and volunteer, could they? And also we didn't feel like that it was necessarily appropriate to be asking our staff to do that, like with the guidance changing all the time. And we had a really, really great volunteering tech partner at the time. They were called Benefacto, and they were the enabler for us to get into that 50%. Really, they worked with all the charities and provided our staff with the volunteering opportunities that they could actually go out and do, and they didn't survive the pandemic, unfortunately. With being quite a small business, a charity and a startup, they just didn't survive, and that was so sad because we'd built like such good relationships with those teams, and they built such good relationships with those charities for us, so we kind of were starting from scratch again. And then there's other things as well, like with the cost of living crisis recently, we haven't really been wanting to push give as you earn so much, because it doesn't feel appropriate to be like asking people for money for charities and whatnot. Like if people want to give, that's up to them, but it didn't really feel like appropriate for us to be pushing that. So I guess there are we're just as affected by like external factors as anything else would be, really. And it's just how we try and like bounce back and adapt from that, really.
I remember, I think it was, I don't know if it was an email, it was Slack, when you said like Benefacto and no more. I can remember it being, cause obviously when we're all locked at home and losing our minds on Slack, is I remember that coming through and then going, was that it? Is that volunteering now? Because you did associate with the benefactor app,
of
didn't you?
course, yeah. That's a platform that you've used to like find and book your volunteering. And I cried when I found out that they were closing down. Like, I was really sad. Like, we'd been on such a journey with them, and like they'd done amazing for us. And I think a lot of what we kind of reflected on after that as well was that, like, we kind of took quite a lot of the parts of that relationship and what they did for granted. Like, we didn't realise how much they were actually doing for us. And when we've taken like volunteering more in the team, like, that brings its own difficulties and challenges as well. So launching a new tech platform, like, it is a tech platform, but it's not just it's never just a tech platform, is it? Like, it's all well and good having tools where people can like go on and find something, but it's about all the things that you don't see behind the scenes.
There's quite a lot of like heavy lifting with it, really. Like I guess people don't realise about all the paperwork that goes into it, and there's a lot of like, I guess, admin type stuff that goes with it, which, to Fee's point, like Benefacto were helping a lot with that, which we did, I guess we'd not really been exposed to, but
it made it look faultless, didn't it?
Yeah.
But that level of paperwork you got to do, is that hasn't put you off in any way?
I wouldn't say it's put us off. I think it's made us realise, like, it's not maybe going to be as quite as seamless as it was before, but if anything, it's made us, I guess, more determined to like work through again some of the challenges to try and navigate like our way through it. And we want to just obviously keep pushing for more people volunteering. So it's not put us off, but it's just one of those things, like another challenge for us to get through. Yeah.
And are you seeing, like, from a volunteering perspective, because one thing that I see a lot in the teams working is people trying to do it in groups, but like sometimes quite like, you know, a team of 20, like let's look at like what a volunteering option could be for 20 people. It's like, whereas I remember when I first did it a few times, it was like 2 or 3 of us. I think we went to Fallowfield. I can't remember what it's called now. Is it Fallowfield Garden? I think there's 3 or 4 of us helping set up what they were doing in this, to try and get some sort of activities going and place for kids to hang out and stuff. But then even then, it felt, with the one guy and then I think there was 4 of us, it felt like slightly probably overwhelming that suddenly you got 4 people. So is that one of the challenges we're starting to see, like the group numbers wanting to go together to use it as like a pseudo team building as well?
For sure. Like, obviously that's a really great way of us getting volunteering at scale and really shifting the numbers of people who go out, but that comes with its own difficulties, because I guess like a lot of people have an opinion about what they want to do, and that's perfectly fine and valid, but charities like need certain things and they need us to come in and do certain things. So if we're doing what they need, that's meaningful within itself. And I guess it's just like anything, if we had 50 people turning up at our doorstep today, we'd be lost with what to do with them, wouldn't we? So we can find opportunities that are suitable for groups of that size and scale, and there have been some really great ones, like there was a rewilding of a golf course in Cheshire that was getting put back into public use, and it was essentially like barren land almost, and we had 50 people going out and planting trees, and that was so nice because it was like really in its inception. But if with groups, basically we just really need people to be flexible about what they do, when they do it, but then also it's hard to get that flexibility from teams. Like if you're busy, 50 people aren't free on the same day. So it's just a bit give and take, really, isn't it?
And how'd you find I've read it where any of the charities like that we've previously worked with, where it's just like, because this is something else I think we did, I can't remember which one we did one of the walking dogs. It's like, I mean, it was quite good fun. I mean, I had a really naughty dog, so it wasn't as fun for me. There was just like insane Jack Russell. Like, we all got given dogs, and they gave me like this Jack Russell, and I'm like, wow. I don't know whether it is because they looked at me and said, "You're a Jack Russell kind of guy." But then I think we went to do it again because we did have a good laugh, and actually it was quite sad seeing some of the dogs that had just been like abandoned and stuff. So we decided we'd go and do it again, but then they suddenly weren't on the the list? So do we have where charities sometimes are taking volunteers and then for whatever reason just can't take people?
I think when they're struggling themselves, like with resource, and like Fee said, like it takes a lot of organisation to like manage a team of volunteers for a day. So we have found that there are charities that have had to take a step back from like group volunteering because they just don't have the capacity to have someone there on the day to coordinate a big group of volunteers, making sure that they've got sort of things to do, like, and that they know what they're doing, like, or like, you know, even things around like safety and things like that. So yeah, unfortunately we have had charities had to take a step back, but equally we have still approached those charities to say, are you still able to accept like smaller volumes of volunteers, either like a single person or two people, just to see if that option is still open, because some of the opportunities like the dog walking one is so popular. So popular. No,
it was definitely a good one. So then just like, is there like thinking about the annual diary of like, so we've got 2 volunteering days and other things to do, but during the year, are there particular highs where you go, or like events that we do that you go really looking forward to, that links into Make a Difference, that you look forward to, or is always events that come up with some cracking stories that then people play back?
I think we got a really good example. Yeah, the Christmas party.
Our Christmas party?
So, not our Christmas party. So we hold a Christmas party with Forever Manchester. And we're also doing the same in London as well. And basically that's a Christmas party for older and more vulnerable people. We have that in our office with over 100 people, and that is a hoot, isn't it? It goes down an absolute treat. I've never actually done it because I always volunteer, so I leave it for other people to do because it's so popular. But a lot of Baileys goes down that day, I believe.
I mean, like, it's one way I've heard about it. I've never, again, it's not one I've been on, but I have heard it's absolutely like legendary, like brilliant. Like the photos you see, like people are obviously having a great time, but also like it just seems like it's one of those events that, if you've got time, it's great to get involved in.
I think it's the stories that come out of it afterwards, like having to traipse to like Sainsbury's to get more Baileys because they've run out. And that's not just the party in Manchester, that happened in the London one as well. Because they ran out of booze.
So Baileys, if you're listening, we could do the sponsorship deal for that party.
So is that we've always done that? I mean, I remember was it when we moved here that we started doing that?
Yeah, we didn't do it before we moved here. I think since we've had our own space and kind of settled into this space, I think we've been doing it for at least five. We've done it for at least 5 years. Obviously, there was a break in the pandemic, but I mean five. Like it's happened at least 5 occasions now.
But on a serious note, because I know it is good fun, that one. But like clearly that for Forever Manchester and charities relating to it, they must be getting. Like, it must make a real difference to the people that come along.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you think about the people that attend, it might be that they're like completely isolated, or they're like they struggle to leave their homes for whatever reason. So it gives them an opportunity to get out and like socialise. And it reminds me of like something that my family used to get involved with, like when we were younger. There used to be like a tea party that was put on for older people, and again it was a similar thing. Like I remember talking to them, and they would say it's literally the one thing that they look forward to in the year. So it's just nice for them to get out and see their friends, and they might not have seen their friends in like months and months and months. So it's just that connection, and I think it's great that we do it. Like we offer it here and down in London as well, because it does sound like they have so much fun. But again, it's something that like we would take for granted, like being able to leave our homes easily, being able to meet up with people. Like some people just don't have that.
And is there other events similar to that we do, or other things likewise where it's like it is an ongoing rather than someone doing a one-off event with a particular charity that we seem to do year after year after year?
Yeah, we have quite a lot of different ones that we have partnerships with, and I think Didsbury Park's a really big one because they're super flexible with volunteers in terms of like dates, sizes. everything. I think I once calculated that over 300 staff have been to volunteer at Disney Park, which is crackers.
Yeah.
And then the other one that's super popular and kind of always on is our STEM ambassador program.
Yeah.
So we know that that's super important in terms of like creating the next generation of tech workers or people who are looking to work in the tech industry, getting people excited about that at a really young age. And that one tends to be super engaged with our product and tech teams, and they'll do that year after year. Like, they'll always use their volunteering days to go and do that. So yeah, that one's brilliant as well, isn't it?
And did the STEM ambassadors come out of the Make a Difference sort of guild, or did it come from, like, cause we've got other routes in, haven't we? Whether it's social mobility or the stuff we're doing with schools. How did those two worlds collide, and with them come down to having that as volunteering days? So that's probably, I was thinking if I was at a different organisation starting something similar up, is how do you join those dots up to say actually that's a valid thing where we're going to say you can use your volunteering days for? Was it just by accident, or was it like purposeful that we picked like STEM ambassadors sort of route?
I think the STEM ambassador thing is always, as far as I'm like, since I've been in the business, it's always been a thing. I remember getting involved in it quite early on, and then I think the schools outreach has always been something that we've done as business, and then we saw that Sarah was like reaching out to people, trying to get people involved, and then we thought, well, we might as well like allow people to use their volunteering days for that sort of thing, because it just makes sense. And then now we're looking at ways that we can promote those opportunities to the right people within the business, because there might be opportunities that might sort of I don't know, be more interesting for certain groups.
No, definitely, because I think we talked, I think it was with yourselves, I can't remember who I talked about, but like again with that crossover with other networks, we were talking an organisation that's Stockport-based pies who go out into schools around the area, and like how do you again tie up where you can be, going into school in Rosendale where I live, and then talking about like career in engineering stuff and where you can go, and how you can then not kill two birds with one stone, but actually the thing that you're really interested in, whether that be social mobility, STEM, whatever it is, that you can then tie the things in, because not everyone wants to do sport sponsorship or a marathon or whatever, so it is trying to find those ones that, or gardening, that really resonate.
I guess it's it links in with like the skills-based volunteering. So we're trying to explore that more. We originally started to look at that during the pandemic, where we couldn't do the field-based like volunteering opportunities, and I think it's trying to surface more opportunities where people can offer their skills on a volunteer sort of basis. So whether that's your like a graphic designer, for example, and there's a charity that needs some work doing or some help, you can offer some time, but it's trying to surface those opportunities.
Nat did a brilliant one, Chatterbox.
Again, that was based around like isolation. So over the pandemic, at the time I was working in RDS, so I was quite used to speaking on the phone, and it was basically an opportunity where it was a phone-based activity where you you get paired up with someone, become a befriender, and you literally just have a chat for 1 hour every single week with your person, and it could be about anything. The person that I was paired up with unfortunately didn't have anyone really that they could reach out to in the week to have a chat with, so it was just a bit of like socialization for them, and it was just nice to hear, I guess, from them over the weeks and months, and then eventually years, because we were chatting every week for 3 years.
Wow.
But it was just nice to check in on them and see how they were, and again, I think it just makes me think, like, I take things like that for granted, and some people just don't have that, so it's nice to be able to offer that for other people. So
I do really like the idea of that skill based.
I think as well, like, we think about it a lot in terms of like us offering other people our skills, but we get a lot back from it as well. Nat, and Nat integrating that person's had like a new perspective
Yeah.
on things from meeting different people. I really like going and doing quite physical volunteering days because I work at a desk in marketing. So like even just moving your body around feels like different and a different thing to do. And it's quite good sometimes to just like get out of the office or your day-to-day life, go and meet some new people that you never would meet anywhere else, and kind of like what we get a lot of skills back from it as well, don't we? So yeah, it's a two-way street really.
Yeah, defo. I think it is that bit in it, like where we started is I just thinking like, because I obviously spoke to you quite a few times Nat about so this sponsorship deal I'm trying to get through, but like it is one where I haven't always penciled like joined all the dots, like doing the volunteering days, like you're doing a bit of skill based, a bit of physical, then doing the sponsorship for like outreach. And then I've also done one of the local communities where we were renovating the local cricket club. And that was one where we did loads of fundraising and we got the match. And it's funny where, like I remember going to the cricket club where we've had kit donated and we've done that, and they're like, that's brilliant. Like how does an organisation like Auto Trader even know we exist? And it was a bit where going, well, I have to write some stuff down, but the fact that they didn't realise you could apply for stuff because they thought it was like you had to be, you had to be seen. So it is fascinating.
I always find it really funny when I go in a charity and they've got our mugs.
Yeah.
Like our old mugs or something when we've like rebranded, and then we've like been like, what can we do with this? And I'm
Donate
like, it's just.
I thought you were going to
funny.
say is when people are taking mugs home with them and then giving them. So like with the 10-year anniversary coming up, so what is there anything new on the horizon, or is it all gearing up for the 10-year anniversary? Do I get an invite to the party? Is there a party?
I really want to do a party.
Yeah. Pete's got loads of ideas.
Yeah,
for
this is
our
where
10-year
Ali's like,
anniversary.
absolutely we're not doing a party. Why did you say we're doing a party?
I wanted to do a party with a dry bar. I thought that would be quite cool if we do it in the day. And we really want to celebrate like people and what they've done and what they've given, because 10 years is such a long time.
Yeah,
and there'll be people within that like you were saying, the like addition of everything together is really astounding. And I do
it's unbelievable.
do really want to celebrate that and like make people feel appreciated and rewarded for that. Like, can we bring charities in? And we'll probably have some really big target of like what we want to achieve as well. We never get a day off, do we?
No.
When we hit 50%, I think they were like 75 next.
Oh yeah, it just always goes up. But it's just we like a challenge. So.
Yeah.
No, it's great. But yeah, seriously though, I mean, like I just was like thinking about this. Like the other week, I went to watch my mate's kids football team, because my kids have all like gone on to do different stuff now, and I think their kids team has one of our hand-me-down kits. So the AT badge is peeling off a little bit, but it's just good like seeing that's probably gone. Like served that money we got towards a kit, like 3 different sets of kids football. So it's like it is immense when you start to look at like not the compound effect, but when you layer it all on together. I mean, there was one where I know you were like, no, we're not going to go into that, but like when you add it all together, the days, the sponsorship, it must be over 10 years. It must be mind-boggling if you tried to put a financial amount to it.
I don't think you can really put a number on these things either. Like, it's about that feeling that people get from it, and about, like, it is, like, literally impossible to tie that all together, I think. With, like, all the will in the world. Like, we want to be really data-driven, and we do obviously do our best with that, but I think, some of it is just immeasurable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's, like, you can't really measure the impact that an experience is going to have on
I
given
totally agree.
person. Like,
that's why I wasn't going to ask you the question.
Yeah.
Even though I asked you the question.
But, like, for example, like, we've had people go out to, like, volunteer through, like, using their days, and then they've continued to then, outside of work, just become regular volunteers, which is great. Like, that's, you just can't kind of measure that.
We have someone as well who's volunteered somewhere for 28 years as like a head of a Girl Guides local group, and they use their volunteering days to claim it back. So that's really nice for them, because they were doing that already and doing it forever. So like for them to get that back is great for them.
Because there's loads of unsung heroes, isn't there, that
exactly.
so much of their own time. But Brilliant. Well, I'm looking forward to the invite to the 10-year celebration. If there is a league table, I'd like to know where I am. But I'm only messing. No, brilliant. It seriously is super impressive. I'm still astounded that we've been going for 10 years on it, because it feels still really fresh, and there's always new ideas coming out. And obviously, joking aside about the scale of it, like, I've seen it as an individual contribute over the years, and know what I've seen get out of it, which has been great. And also, like you say, people at the football club and the cricket club that I've helped out with, they're always like, oh, great, your work are really generous. But then when you add it up and go, like, across the board, it's insane. So cheers for continuing to push it on. So if anyone would like to know more, whether it be AT people or anyone listening and that's thinking of doing the same, I'm sure they can reach out to your good selves on LinkedIn. But yeah, that's it for today. So thanks again for listeners, watchers tuning in and listening to me babble on about our Auto Trader. And remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification button so you never miss an episode. And follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And that's us done for today. Have fun.